Hello. Welcome to the first episode of... Wait, what's the name of the podcast again? Welcome to the first episode of YVES Expertise. You know what I'm saying. Today we're going to be covering a lot of different topics. Firstly, we're going to dive into some questions that you guys asked me on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram, luv.yves. Love YVES. And we're going to unpack my life, jump into a conspiracy theory or two, and just get your popcorn. Let's enjoy this time together. All right. Was that intimate? Yeah. Yeah? That's what I'm going for. Okay. I'm looking for some questions. I want to start off with like a good question, you know, like a hard hitter. Are you gay? This question started off because I was on stream. I used to do streaming on the side, you know, and I made a joke. And I make a lot of jokes that, let's say, portray that. But no, I'm not gay. I am straight. I've never been gay. There's nothing wrong with being gay, but I'm just personally not gay to per se. You know what I'm saying? Let's just put that there. Okay? I'm trying to find like a good question that's like more like, you know what I mean? Everyone's just asking like, what inspired you to be a TikTok? I don't know. Fuck. Money. Bitches. Okay, wait. Let me pop my chains out. Hold on. Okay. Life story podcast episode. Should I do it?
What is the YVES life story?
Should I do it? You know what? Okay. I'm going to start it off with Sophie's Neats question. She asks, how do you get over the fear of being yourself in public? Let me take a sip of water before I answer this question. Clear the throat a little bit. Did you guys hear that? Intimacy. So I think it's not about the fear of being yourself in public. I feel like a lot of people fear being themselves in general. And the most important thing is to find yourself and be proud of who you are, despite what anyone thinks. Because we don't live this life for anyone else. We live this life for ourselves. And I feel like a lot of people always want to impress others. You do everything for other people. You stop being afraid to be yourself when you start doing it for yourself. I don't really care what anybody says, if it's negative or if it's positive. I just want to be myself. And it doesn't matter to me what these people are going to think, because who are these people to me? At the end of the day, I'm going to surround myself around people who want the best for me and who are supportive of me being myself. If somebody doesn't want to be friends with me because they think I'm corny, or you know how many people would have told me not to post TikToks when I started? Oh, it's cringe. Oh, it's stupid. Oh, you're embarrassing yourself. You can't surround yourself around those people. So you have to surround yourself around people like the guy behind this camera who's going to support me for me being me. That's how you get over the fear of being yourself. Was that good?
Yeah.
Okay, lock in. Okay. Something that really changed your view of the world. Flav_Nep asked the juicy couture question, bro. Something that really changed your view of the world. I just need to think for a second. I'm going to get into my life story after a few questions to break the ice, you know. But I really understood the world differently. Sorry, there's a lot of ambulances outside. They're fucking pissing me off. Maybe because this podcast is absolutely lit.
You was not.
Okay. I think one thing that really changed my view of the world was, I don't want to get too political. I think my world really changed when I saw how many homeless people there are, how many people live in poverty and struggle. I saw wars happen, people lose their houses, their families, you know, and that's when you realize there's not a lot of good in this world. And you just have to, I don't know where I'm going with this, to be honest. I think we should move on to the next question. Actually, like, I know I can go really deep into something. Should I go really deep into something? Guys, I lived in Russia and I read this amazing book, okay? It was called Korolevskaya Dочь, okay? The Daughter of the King. And essentially what this book was, it was a young boy, he was. Yeah, I think we should just cut this out because I'm just yapping too much. Like this is not good. Let's just move on to the next thing. Okay, we'll go easy. Start off with a couple easy questions from now. How tall are you? I'm around 6'1", which is like 187 centimeters.
Yo, stop lying.
Jake, this is not something I play about, bro. Like this is not even funny. You ruined it. Let me do this again. Love Kiki asks, how tall am I? This pisses me off because I feel like in camera, I always look short, but you can literally see my legs are long. And I'm 6'1", which is around 180 centimeters. When I put on shoes, I'm literally almost touching 6'2.5". So it's like I'm done with people thinking I'm short. Every time people meet me in public and they're like, oh my God, you're actually so tall. You don't look tall in your videos. I'm like, the fuck? Of course. Anyway, next question. I feel like I should really do like a more like of my life introduction too with it. What do you think? Because I want people like to know me. So then when I answer like other questions about faith and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do a whole like Eves intro. Like, who is Eves?
I'm going to tell you guys about me, Eves. I was born on August 14, 2006. I came from my mom. I came out of my mom. My mom is Russian, and she grew up in St. Petersburg. And my dad is Iranian, Persian. Basically, my mom moved to Canada as a refugee. Wait, that's fucking wrong! I was born on August 14, 2006 in Toronto, Ontario. Canada, obviously. United States. Shout out the Canadians. My mom moved to Canada after she finished university. And my father was a refugee from Iran. So I'm half Russian, half Persian. Growing up, I went to the Toronto Natural Public Island School, which is a school on Toronto Island, a public school on Toronto Island. I got to take a ferry to the island every single day.
You actually did?
Every single day. I took the ferry every single day. Could you imagine that? It was pretty normal school. It was actually really weird because like it was super naturey, and like I didn't learn anything. When I was in elementary school, I didn't learn anything. My school, like I really love my teacher. Shout out Mr. Seaman because he's a supporter. I went to the school and like we'd take the ferry and it was on the island. So we had no school boundaries. We could literally run around everywhere we wanted to. And the coolest thing is we didn't do any math. So when I went into like grade 7 and 8, bro, I knew nothing. Like my mom literally thought I was stupid. You know, I couldn't read until I was 8. I'm so serious. I genuinely couldn't read, but then one day they threatened to like put me to like a special needs school and like I learned how to read the next day. It was like a blessing from God, I swear. My mom was like about to kill me and then like I was like this and I knew how to read. But in my school, bro, we would literally hug trees and like thank them for life. It was weird. So I went up to that school until I was in grade 6. Then I went to just a normal middle school in Toronto. And basically, in grade 8, everything changed for me. COVID came in March. I know a lot of people remember that. That changed my life when I was 13 years old. I was actually about to move to Spain because I wanted to pursue my dream as a soccer player, and I had the opportunity to move to Spain. But I'd have to leave by myself. At that time period, everything became very difficult in my family. And during the time when I moved to Spain, my mom moved to Russia because living in Canada was just financially too difficult for her and my sister. So my mom moved to Russia, and my dad didn't do anything. That's where he leaves the story. Thanks for him. Thanks for everything he did. Whole lot of nothing. But that's where he leaves the story. And my mom and my sister moved to Russia, and that was very difficult for me because I was living by myself in Spain and not being able to be close with my mom, especially when she was going through such a difficult time, and my sister being only 5 years old during that time period. That was really difficult for me as a kid because I was trying to focus on becoming a professional soccer player, but a lot of mental problems came with that. You know, struggle, thinking about my mom, how she's alone, and my sister not really having that figure in her life as a man. And I wanted to be that, but I was only 14, just turned 14. And I was a pretty crazy dumbass. During that time period in Spain, though, I think I matured a lot with my mentality. That's where I really discovered myself. I think growing up, I was always a goofy kid, but that's where I really learned what it is to work hard, to chase a dream, to want something. I think I developed this mentality of, just wanting something and working towards it. When I was living in Sevilla, we would train 8 times a week. I tried my best to go and train more and more. And I literally overkilled my body because I just never felt like I was good enough in the team. And I was growing. I was going through growing pains. I was a really small kid when I moved to Spain. And everybody made fun of me for being slow. So I'd try to run faster and faster. But I dealt with a lot of problems there. Like a lot of the guys on the team were older. They were bullies. I'd get into a lot of fights because I was trying to stand my ground, fighting a lot, arguing. But I think that's where I really discovered what the law of attraction is, believing in yourself and not listening to other people. I really think I learned that when I was in Spain. I got to play against a lot of good players like Yamin Lamal, some other guys, randoms, pro players in Spain. And that was my Spain experience. But towards the end, I was turning 15. I got top and then moved out of Spain. You know what I'm saying? Freaky you.
Wait, you got...
No, chill. I'm not going to even go into that. But I moved out of Spain when I was 15. And obviously, I wanted to move somewhere like England to continue playing soccer. But that just wasn't a possibility. I didn't have any offers. I couldn't move back to Canada because I had nobody in Canada. So the only option was to move and live with my mom and sister in Russia. Looking back, at 15 years old, living in Russia was like my biggest fear just because of how different kids in Russia are. Especially as a 15-year-old, you think of Russia. What do 90% of people picture when they think of Russia? Big, bad, scary, cold, angry, and I just didn't want to go, but I had to. Moving to Russia at that time period was probably one of my biggest fears, but now looking back, it was the best 2 years of my life. So I moved there when I was 15. I played in a couple of high-level first division soccer teams. So my goal was always to pursue soccer. But at a certain point, the special thing happened with Ukraine, and I was there when all of that started. It was a really difficult time too because I was just a 15-year-old kid living in Russia, and all of a sudden, all the stores are closing, like Western stores, H&M, Zara, McDonald's. We literally had nothing. You would go to the mall and there would be nothing there. And also during that time period, that's when like my mom's financial situation became even more difficult because whatever money she had in her Canadian bank accounts couldn't be sent to Russia because Russia got blocked off international banking, SWIFT, and that's international banking. So Russia was literally cut off from the rest of the world. So my mom couldn't transfer the money that she had from her Canadian bank accounts that she was living off of into her Russian ones. So at that point, I knew that I had to do something because I needed to support not only myself, but also try to help my mom and my sister. So at that time period, while I was living in Russia, playing soccer, I decided to start selling shoes. Because I had a Canadian passport, I was able to travel to Estonia. There was no Nike in Russia, and Russian people weren't allowed to leave the country. Luckily, I had a Canadian passport as well as my Russian passport. So I could literally go into Estonia legally. I would travel to Estonia on a 15-hour bus, 15 hours on a bus during the winter time, and import Nike sneakers and sell them in Russia. Me and my friend Adrian, we started this business and it just started booming. Like all these rich Russian kids were buying Jordan 4s for 3-4 times the price. And I was buying them for like $150, selling them for $700. Motion. And that's when I really discovered my entrepreneurial passions,
Entrepreneurial spirit.
entrepreneurial spirit. That's where I really started to love hustling.
Money.
Like I would go to Estonia, not pay for a hotel, get there at like 4 a.m. I'd go to a hotel lobby and like sneak in the hotel lobby, sleep somewhere in a corner of a hotel lobby to save as much money as possible. Buy the shoes in the morning. I slept in a McDonald's one time. Yeah, dead ass. And then what I would do is after buy the shoes, buy 3-4 pairs, because after 3-4 pairs, they can take them from the border. I'd have to make up stories to the Russian border patrol. They'd ask me like, why are you importing? Because it's illegal. Nike became illegal. Yeah. They're like, why are you importing? I'd be like, oh, for my friends, for my family. Like you couldn't say to sell because that's just illegal. Yeah. And that was a really good time period. After that.
You have any crazy stories from when you used to go between Russia and Estonia?
Crazy stories. Just the Russian border was just scary. It was a scary thing. Going from Estonia, I'd meet a lot of amazing people on the border, actually. Like, there was a lot of students whose stories were just so sad because a lot of Spanish students, or Latino, like, for example, from South America, moved to Russia to go to university. And because university in Russia is free. They can't afford to go to university.
University's free.
University's free in Russia, yeah.
Yo.
So they couldn't afford to go to university in their home country, so they would come to study in Russia. But guess what? When all the conflict started, they banned Russian education as a form of paper. Yeah. Like, so these students, like your degree couldn't get you a job in Spain, or anywhere. So before, a Russian degree at a university was valid. You can go get a job. So a lot of students who were from poor families around the world, they'd come to study in Russia because it was a good opportunity for them. All of a sudden, these guys, 3 years into their education, all of a sudden they can never get a job anywhere else but Russia. But the problem is they don't speak Russian. So their degree is literally useless. Do you know how many people's lives were just affected? And I met a lot of interesting people, guys from Taiwan who were studying in Russia. It was taking that bus, I just yap with strangers. I still follow them on Instagram, like awesome guys, like literally keep up with their lives. And after that, me and my friend really grew that business as much as we could. We started selling a lot of shoes. At a certain point, we decided to leave the real market and move into counterfeit, where we would start selling counterfeits, not as real. We started making good money. I started going into bags and everything, and whilst trying to continue my soccer career. Do you guys want to know something crazy as well? While I was playing soccer in Russia, there was a tournament for the best 25 teams in Russia. And out of the best 25 soccer teams in Russia, my team was ranked 5th in the country. There was a tournament, and whoever won the tournament, whichever team won the tournament, would be exiled from serving in the army.
What?
Yeah.
That's a crazy reward.
It's a crazy reward. Like that was like kids were literally basically fighting for their lives and freedom at a certain point, because Russian military is mandatory. And that's a great way to segue into why I had to leave Russia.
Wait. I want to hear more, and I think the people will want to hear more about how you scaled the business. Like beyond, because you said you used to import like 3 to 4 pairs like on your own back, and then you switched into basically reps. How did you go about scaling the business with Adrian?
Scaling the business was a really hard task because I was working with a partner, and that's where I learned a lot of problems that come with having a business partner. Having a business partner is not always the best thing, especially when they're your friend. That's where I learned that it's better to stay away from friends in business. Came with a lot of problems. Me and him got into arguments, and at a certain point, we split up. Scaling my business became very difficult because my partner was better at selling than I was. I was the importer, he was the seller. But I scaled the business. When we split up, there was a massive counterfeit market in Moscow. I lived in St. Petersburg, Russia. There was a massive market, and I would take this 8-hour night train where you sleep in the train. It's like they have little beds. I'd get the cheapest one. It was like $20. You can get to Moscow. Yeah. And then I'd go to the market, and basically how it works is there's a bunch of counterfeit shoes, bags, and how I scale my business is I had an online store, right? Facebook Marketplace. We had our own version in Russia. And what I would do is, this is some sauce for anybody who wants to sell clothes. I would pay people. So for example, let's say I buy the shoes for $80, right? They're very good replicas. I want to sell them as replicas for $140, one of one. And the real pair cost $800. So obviously the person is buying replicas, they're happy, they're good quality, I'm profiting, everyone's happy. But the problem was there was a lot of competition. A lot of people were selling replicas because that's all they had in Russia. So what I would do is I would have this little message that I pre-wrote, and I would send it to over like 50, 60 mutuals. And I would tell them, I would send each person different pictures of the same product. So I would have, let's say I'm selling, this is a pair of shoes. I take a picture of it here with the carpet background and then with the wall background, and everybody would get different pictures. And I would tell everyone to put a different price, but they would be close to each other. I would give 18% of the sale to each person buying it, right? So let's say, let's say you find me you are the guy working with me, right? You put the pictures I sent you, and you find me a customer. After the customer buys it, I give you 18% of what I made, a full profit. So all these kids had to do is I would get like 15, 16-year-old kids, some guys from my soccer team, to post these products. They would lose nothing. All they would have to do is tell me where to meet the person and at what time. That way, I'd have over 10 people working with me, 5, 6 sales a day. And honestly, like one of the guys working with me, bro, his family was not in the best situation. And literally, he made like over their monthly wage working with me. So I was able to provide for myself, help my mom, help other people. It was like an amazing thing. And I was 16. Yeah. That was hustling mentality. As I mentioned earlier, there was a conflict going on between Russia and Ukraine. And I'm 18 years old. I didn't want to be... I was 18 years old. That's when people start going into the army. While I was going to school in Russia, I went to a American school. So all the students were American. It was crazy. When the war started, bro, all the teachers fled the country because they were American teachers in Russia. So they were... the American government issued them to leave.
Wait. I thought it, like you were telling me this before. I thought American school was just like they teach you English. I didn't realize it was actually American.
So it was American teachers who came to Russia as Christian. They would spread the religion of Christ. They would spread the word of Christ. And they were teachers. They had teacher degrees at the same time. So they were getting paid from like external companies to come to Russia. And they would be funded from like random people. But they all left. So literally at a certain point, I would come to class and it was just me and my friend. And like Korean girls. A bunch of Korean girls. That's how I know a little bit of Korean. 안녕대 이름은 YVES. 많이 당근. But yeah, shout out Korea. Amazing people, bro. I love Koreans. Koreans are some of the most hardworking people I've ever met. I'm going so off fucking track. Yeah. Okay. So as I was I turned 17 in Russia, and it was getting to the age where I had to go to the military. As I was going to an American school, the government didn't see that as a real form of education. And I had no chance of getting into Russian universities. Like Russian universities, there's one exam that you have to pass. I was just not on the same level, and the Russian system was very difficult for students. And I just knew I wasn't going to be able to pass those classes. So I had to leave Russia because it was the only options where I stay long enough until they force me to go to the army or I leave the country. I got out the country through a very long process. Having to take a bunch of buses, this, that, the border. This time it was really difficult because I was at the age of where they can not let you out the country, because at the border it really depends on who's there, right? So I moved to Canada one day before grade 12 starts. My mom and my sister stay back in Russia because to live as a family of 3 in Russia is affordable. To live in Canada as a family of 3 is impossible. At that, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's very hard to live with 3 people in Canada. So I moved here. I went to grade 12, and the whole year, I mentioned this in a TikTok I posted. I never felt like I had a home. I was just everywhere, always trying to get out of my problems. You know, I was still playing soccer, and it was such a weird time period for me because I couldn't find a team that I liked. I couldn't find people that I liked. I couldn't find friends that I liked. I just had 1 or 2 friends that I would just wait to hang out with. And in high school, I was just chilling alone the whole time. I couldn't really like fit in. I just genuinely felt like I couldn't fit in with these people because in Russia, everyone was so real. People would tell you if they didn't like you straight to your face. In Canada, it just didn't feel like that. Canada felt like everybody was fake. They were two-faced. They were lying to you. And I just hated it. I stick to myself. And what happened was, luckily, towards the end of the year, so last year in March, I met these soccer coaches who really believed in me. And they would train me, and we got in contact with this agent. The agent wanted to send me to play professionally in Portugal. He was a Persian agent. As you guys know, I'm Persian. And me and him connected, and I thought that my dreams were going to come true of becoming a professional soccer player. All the hard work I put in, all the mental struggle, it was going to work out. But what had happened was 5 days before I was supposed to leave in September, the agent screwed me over. The contract wasn't what we agreed on. It wasn't nearly the amount of pay that I was supposed to get. And basically, the team would pay me less than rent would be in Portugal. That wasn't an ethical idea when the agreement was that I was supposed to make a decent amount of money. I was supposed to be all paid for. And yeah, that really broke my heart. My dreams were crushed. But I didn't want to give up. I still wanted to keep going. Luckily, I accepted a university offer just as a plan B because my mom advised me to. Shout out my mom. And I started my first year of university as a business student. It's actually funny, like in my Snapchat memories, it literally showed like my first day of class. It was like failed soccer player, having to go to university, like everything sucks. Like everything was difficult because I literally felt like a failure. I was alone, without my mom, without my sister, not being able to provide for them, not being able to support them, just being nothing at 18 years old. I felt like I achieved nothing. What happened was my ideas were just to start posting TikToks. I started posting TikToks because...
You started posting TikToks before university, though.
Well, yeah, but this doesn't really matter. Like, I was posting thirst traps. I was posting thirst traps for girls here and there on TikTok, just trying to get my clout up, you know what I'm saying? It was a stupid time period because I didn't want to go into it, but I broke up with my girlfriend at that time. Yeah, we'll go into that story at a different time, but I was in a long-distance relationship, and when that ended, I was like, fuck it, let me get my hose up, let me start posting on TikTok. You know what I'm saying? Pretty cringe. But I did that for a little bit, and everything changed where one day I just decided to like record a funny video of me kind of being myself, because I was always outside by myself. Like, I was just hanging around outside, and I was like, I usually posted these stuff on my private Snapchat, and I was like, let me just post it for the world to see. And it started getting a little bit of traction, so I kept on doing it. And that's where my life really changed. That's where I realized that this is my passion and this is what I want to pursue. That TikTok and social media and just like, you know, people were understanding where I was coming from. They were liking my humor, my stupid, corny humor that I thought no one would like. It seemed like there was a whole world of people that enjoyed it. So being myself, and then that just became my obsession and my passion every single day, posting videos, trying to make people laugh. And, you know, thank God it got me to the point where I was able to monetize it and make money off of it. And now, as you guys may know, I've moved into my own apartment. That's how I got to where I got, to this lovely couch that's tearing apart. Fucking need to tell them to change that shit. It's fucking ass. and the sink that barely works. But you know what? The apartment's nice. You know what? Show the left side of the apartment. I cleaned it a little bit. Show it. Yes. Got a kitchen and shit. Nice couch. Looks like a porn shoot. But yeah, that's my story. Should I answer like a few more questions?
Yeah, so a few more questions.
How much time are we at?
We're at 40 minutes.
That's like perfect. I cut it up. It's gonna be like 30. So as Jasmine asked, when did you know, oh, I'm gonna become an influencer? I feel like I kind of mentioned that. It just randomly happened. I always wanted to do social media and stuff. Like I always did it on the side with YouTube videos when I was younger. And I always wanted to have like followers and stuff like that. But I never thought it was really achievable until I did it. Because I would always try to get like views and stuff. And it never really worked. Because I didn't know what I was posting. And I wasn't being myself. I feel like everything changed when I realized like, oh shit. People fuck with me being me. I don't need to be somebody else. I don't need to do what this person is doing to get views. I don't need to do what this person is doing. I feel like that's the biggest misconception with social media. Everybody's always trying to do something else. They're like, oh, it works for that person, so I'm going to go do it. But I found when I was just being myself, that's when it started working. That is a fire-ass fucking clip. So Aaliyah asks if she can be on it. Pause.
The pod or?
On the pod or on this dick? I know a lot about the world, guys. I'm like a fucking history nerd. Like, when it comes to history, bro, I just know a bunch of random facts. Like, all my friends, like, I just know random shit. Ask me a country, I'll tell you the capital right now.
You want me to ask?
Just say a country's name.
Luxembourg.
Fuck, that's so random. Cut this shit out. Luxembourg City. The capital is Luxembourg. Luxembourg City! Oh my God! What the fuck? I told you I do this shit. Look at that.
They can't see you.
Look,
They can't
look.
see you, bro.
The capital is Luxembourg City. Didn't I say that?
Yeah.
Grateful for all of you. Let me know what you thought about this podcast episode. Just kind of introducing myself and my life story. I don't know if it was interesting. Hopefully it was. I kind of made a TikTok about it, but hopefully you didn't watch that. But yeah, guys. I appreciate all of you guys. Eve's expertise. Sayonara. Arigato konnichiwa.